Hello friends, you all are welcome to the very first session of PyTest. So basically what is the purpose of having this PyTest? So using Python you can write code, and in case of test automation you have multiple test cases, multiple test scenarios to be automated and then to be executed. So let's say you have a smoke suit to be built and there are 20 test cases are there, and then you will be executing them. You may execute in a sequence, or you may pick five of them to execute, and then and there are other sequence might be there. So here we'll learn how to create those, how to execute those existing test cases. Okay, so this is the very first session, and I'll be covering all about PyTest in each session. So let's start. So very first step. So very first step is to install PyTest on your machine. So I'll show you the easiest way. There are many ways we will be covering later, but let me start with the easiest one. So you can see on your screen it's PyCharm. So in the root folder, let me create another directory, and I'm gonna name it as smoke suit. And smoke suit will okay, so we'll be having few test cases here, and the first expectation is to run, execute all those test cases in a sequence. So how it works? So I have created one folder smoke suit, and now I need to create a file where I'm gonna have all the test cases. Okay, so again, let me right click, new, and this time it's gonna be a Python file. So let's say it's a test scenario, test underscore scenario underscore 01. I'm just naming this. So here we have a file, and file is blank. So very first step is you are supposed to, or you must import PyTest. Okay. So I just imported PyTest, but you can see it's a red line underlined with red. It means PyTest is not yet available, or it's not added to the library of Python. So uh, let's learn how we can add this. So for that, go to PyCharm, preferences, go to your project interpreter, and now here you can click on add, search for PyTest here. You can see, just click and install package. It will take a few seconds and it's there. Package PyTest installed successfully. You are all set. Now close this. Okay, and you can see it's gone. It's gone. So you are all set to go. Now let's say we have two test cases to execute. So I need to write those test cases here before I execute them. So now you know what all steps we have just gone through. So test cases are basically in the form of functions. So I'm going to define very first test case, and let's talk about the Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, like this. So my very first test case is test underscore launch underscore Twitter, and you know how to define it's like same methods or functions, whatever you want to call, and then you can write steps, actual steps. So I'm not just pasting any code. I'll just use this because we need to understand how PyTest works, and later we'll see how to write code. So you know how to write code here. Open Twitter launched, and then I'll define another test case. So these two within this file, test scenario 01, we are writing our test case. Actually, this test launch Twitter is a test case, and then I'm writing another test case, def test underscore launch FB, and print Facebook launched. Okay. All right. So we have a folder, smoke suite. Then we have a file, test, or you can see a scenario, test scenario 01.py. And within that, we have two test cases, which are, and what those test cases are doing, those test cases are launching Twitter and Facebook URL. Basically, they are just printing one simple statement. Now, so we are all set with the with the code, with the test cases. Now, how to run? So when we run Python files, what we do, we click on this run, or we right click and then run test scenario 01. But in case of PyTest, it we have a different. So what PyTest does? So let me execute and then I'll explain you one by one what it is. So to run PyTest, here is the py.test. This is the command. You just need to type py.test and press enter. Then what this PyTest does, PyTest will look for all the test cases within this folder, and then it will execute one by one. I'm repeating, PyTest will find all the test cases within this folder, like within the folder learn test automation Python. It's not gonna look into smoke suite only. It will be looking everywhere, and then it's gonna run. Let me press enter and see what happens. So you can see what happens. Collected two items within this root directory. Collected two items. So how actually PyTest is looking for, because we have not specified go to smoke suite or pick this, pick that, and blah blah blah. So it picked two items. So let me first execute this with more detail. So with more detail means you just PyTest and use these two for verbose, and minus s actually helps to uh, to execute the print statement. Means it will print the statement on your screen. So now you can see these two items were picked, and here you can see test launch Twitter, and Twitter launch is the text which is get printed, and here. So how PyTest is picking these two test cases on. So there are two things which I have not explained, and I'm going to explain that. So just listen carefully. It's basically based on the name of the file. Very first thing, name of the file. There are some naming convention how we should define name of a file. So where you gonna have your test cases. So the syntax says your file name should start with test underscore, or it should end with test underscore test. I'm repeating, file name should start with test underscore, or it should end with underscore test. So let me just simply rename this and you will see the change. I'll refactor and I'll just remove underscore. I will not do anything else. And so far you can see there were two test cases picked in our last execution. I'm renaming this to, I just remove the test underscore. I just remove the underscore. Refactor, and let me execute this file again. So now you can see collected items are 0. So file name should start with test underscore. Let me again refactor it. And this time I'll add underscore test at last. Refactor. I'm coming here. I'm running the last code and it's working fine. So there you go. The file name which carry test cases either should start with test underscore, or it should end with underscore test. That is the naming convention for file name. Now moving to the next. Next is the naming convention for test cases. So test case must start with test. It's not about underscore. So let me just simply delete underscore and execute it. Both working. Okay, this is just to make it clear. And what if I remove this test? Click here, run, and this time here's the magic. You see only one item got collected. Okay, So, and file name can start with underscore. That is another thing. So test is, so there are two things. One is the naming convention for file name, and another is the naming convention for your test cases. And you can see it's executing in all execution happening in a sequence. So this is all in this very first session where you installed means you just added package PyTest, and then you learn the naming convention, and then you saw how to execute test cases, and you know you cannot use this run command or right click or run from anywhere else. You need to use py dot test hyphen v hyphen s, and you need the purpose of the purpose of using hyphen v and hyphen s. Just try this and keep practicing. Next session we'll talk about different new topics. Thanks for watching. Have a great time.